I feel like in a way, as you look at your life, you're able to like kind of analyze what's going around and understand systems that should be in place to optimize what you're doing. Does that make sense? Like I'm like trying to like read between them, like what is the like main takeaway if you wanted to optimize your life? And I feel like you just see angles.
Well, I figure out what I want and then I like study intensively on how to get it. So I put more effort into the plan and the system than most people do. I think a lot of people look micro and they're like, okay, what do I want? I look micro, figure out what I want, and then I pull back macro and like, okay, how do we get there? Like, what are the resources? What do we have? Like, what can we do? I mean, and so that's kind of like one of the reasons I'm like doing this website to help these guys. I feel like guys nowadays just like have no ability to get laid. And it's really bad. It's like really, really bad. Like 1% of guys are getting all the girls and the other 99%, it's just terrible. And it's not they're bad guys. It's just like they just don't have the experience. And then that leads to insecurity and then it snowballs and whatever. Cause like if you go back in the 50s, like we haven't evolved in 50, 60 years that much, right? Or 60s, 70s, whatever. Like everybody was getting like a proportionate amount of girls, like everybody's in decent shape. Now you're either like fat as fuck or you're super fucking jacked, like, you know, for guys, or you're like getting like no girls or you're getting all the girls. It's like this massive disparity and there's not much middle ground where there used to be much more of a middle ground. And I feel like we're all kind of like at fault for this and social media plays a big role. And I feel like women are just much, much more unrealistic about what they like deserve or what they should get or whatever, versus like when you're in a small town, you're looking at like whatever the other, you know, 50,000 people are, and you're comparing yourself. There's only one fucking high school stud quarterback, right? Like, but if you compare yourself to 8 billion fucking people, right? And like, those are the standards that you're like setting versus like who, you know, your town, like you're going to start setting these unrealistic expectations. So the women just like expect this. And, you know, obviously like nobody's going to live up to like the best in all these categories. I don't give a fuck who you are. Right. So most men like nowadays, it seems like they've just almost given up. And that's kind of like a sad place to be where like the majority of guys seem to just like have given up.
I also think too, there's a little bit of a desperate energy coming from
that's
people.
what happens when like,
it's like,
that's what I'm saying. It's a snowball effect. Like
yeah,
you have a positive relationship. A girl likes you back. You have sex with her. You suck at first. You get better at it. Like confidence improves. Like all of a sudden her friend wants to bang you. Confidence improves. Like things happen, right? Like, you know, you go down the road and eventually like you develop more confidence through your experience and this and that. But like, if your alternative is like, oh, this girl shot me down, I'm gonna go smoke weed, jerk off, and play video games, and that becomes your default setting, then like, where the fuck are you in a year if you do that for 1 year? Now you're a year out of the game. Like you're less confident. You're fucking in worse shape. You're fucking probably ADD is firing through the fucking roof. Your dopamine receptors are fucking saturated. It's like, where are you at? Right. And it's like, it gets progressively worse and worse. Like at what point do these guys just give up? Because like after 2 years, what's 2 years and one more day of not having sex, right? Like it gets to a point where, and so, yeah, you just have a whole bunch of the society that's basically like withdrawn from the game.
I think that they are addicted to being comfortable too. Like it sounds like you put yourself in college and you had already been so uncomfortable. So you're like, what's like hitting on a bunch of girls? I'm just going to get uncomfortable. I'm going to go to the library. A lot of the guys, they just get so comfortable, like what you're saying in it, that what is one more day?
People in general nowadays are addicted to comfort.
100%.
And this is true across the board. Like people have become addicted to comfort and then so they become slaves. They become slaves to this like comfort lifestyle. And so if you don't make yourself suffer even a little bit, that's why like these ice baths have become like such a good trend, is because it's like, it's forcing you to suffer, even if for like a few minutes out of the day. It's like, that's better than nothing. And like through that suffering, you get an instant reward. That's why it's like such a good thing to recommend to people, is because it's like, it's pretty extreme suffering for a very short period of time. And then you get this massive dopamine hit and this immediate benefit. And because it was like so shitty for 3 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever the fuck you sat in there for, then when you get out, you feel so much better that you're not suffering. It's like that perspective, right? Like if your whole life is comfort, you're just kind of like, yeah.
And people have been told the wrong thing. They've been told that like winning in life is eventually retiring and being comfortable. And again, you just become complacent and you just become weaker and you just get worse and worse.
Yeah. I think winning in life is doing something that you like that also benefits other people that you enjoy. Like if you can figure out like something, it doesn't have to be a job, whatever, that like you're helping other people out, you're enjoying it and you're making money at it. It's kind of like, that's like the trifecta of, to me, success. And I think that leads to happiness, right? I think a lot of people are like chasing pleasure, confusing pleasure with happiness. And that's one of the things I touched on in the book, is like the difference between pleasure and happiness. And I think there is like a big disparity that people don't realize.